Three.
Logan follows the story of Wolverine and Professor X as they try to get Laura, a young mutant girl, to a mutant safe zone located near the border of the US and Canada. Wow, this is a really good movie. If you're an X-Men fan and you're a Wolverine fan, this is the Wolverine movie fans have always wanted. Before getting into exactly what I liked about it and some of the things that I didn't like about it, I have a quick clip from the movie I want to play you guys. So listen to this.
I need the girl.
What girl?
I know you went to the motel.
It was cold there. There was no girl. It was just a woman.
So, you saw Gabriella, but you didn't call me.
So right away from the first scene of this movie, you get a wicked action scene. Wolverine cuts a guy's arm off. He stabs a guy underneath his chin, and you can see his claws inside his mouth, which is open. There's blood. It's really brutal. It's violent. It's fucking kick-ass. And right away, James Mangold sets the tone. This is an R-rated film. And you know, as a fan, this is unlike anything you've ever seen before from the X-Men franchise and the Wolverine franchise. It was really cool. I really enjoyed the first scene of this movie, and it set the tone for the rest of the movie. Now, don't get me wrong. This movie never feels like it's showing blood or excess violence just to have violence or blood or gore. Every time there's blood, it's meaningful. It fits in with what they're telling. It fits in with the story. So I just wanted to make that clear. It's not excessive. It doesn't feel forced. It's very natural with the flow of the story, and it was very well done. I have to say, one of the largest strengths of this movie is the depth of the characters. The movie does an excellent job of showing the audience what the characters are going through, what they're dealing with, what their mindset is, and this really helps you understand each character's motivation, especially Wolverine and Professor X. The depth of these characters really makes you care about these characters, makes you feel for them, makes you want to root for them. Wolverine, he's in bad shape in this movie. He starts the movie, he's depressed, he's old, he's beating, he's broken, he walks with a limp, he's always drinking, he's thinking about committing suicide. This is a Wolverine that's rough and beaten up and just had enough. He's at the end of his rope. All he really wants to do is save enough money up so him and Professor X can buy their boat and just see you later. He doesn't want to be dealing with no little girl. He doesn't want to be dealing with any shit right now. He's definitely not the Wolverine we've seen in past films. In many ways, he's like Clint Eastwood's character in Unforgiven. He's old. He's dealing with a lot of physical and emotional pain from his past. He's really just a shadow of what he used to be. But he can still be the Wolverine we all know when he has to. When he really has to, he can kick some serious ass, and it was fucking awesome. The simplicity of this story is another one of its strengths. This movie is a great example of why bigger is not always better, especially when you get into these comic book films. These studios have a tendency to jam-pack these movies with so many plots and characters and villains and just bloat it with too much shit. There's always too much shit going on, it seems like, and this movie is not that. In many ways, this movie is not even doesn't even feel like a comic book movie. If Wolverine wasn't in this movie would still work. If it was a regular dude taking this girl across the country, protecting her from these guys coming after her, it would still work just as good. And that's why this movie really succeeds, in my opinion. It's simple and sweet, and there's no extra shit that you don't need in it. It's very to the point, and it just works. Another thing I liked about this movie is that it has a real Western vibe to it. James Mangold is clearly inspired by Western films. I can tell he likes Westerns. There's a few scenes in Logan where he pays homage to the movie Shane. And I thought this was great because as a director, he's showing his respect. He's saying, thank you for making these movies. Thank you for inspiring me. And he's keeping it going. And it was awesome. I like when directors do that. There's a scene in this movie that sparks some controversy. I know a few fans that don't necessarily like it. Without giving any spoilers away, Wolverine fights someone and some people didn't like it. I don't know. I liked the scene. I thought it was really cool. The score during that action scene on the farm, that's the scene I'm talking about, I thought was awesome. The score puts you right on the edge of your seat. It's intense. You feel the moment. It's a cool fight scene. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. Some people didn't like it, though. All I can say is I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't really have much of a problem with it. Even though the tone and vibe of this movie's pretty dark and serious and brutal at times, don't get me wrong, this movie has some funny parts, especially with Professor X, where him and Logan are talking, and it's just fucking hilarious. The things that they're talking about, or what Professor X says and what he does, it's funny. This movie has some funny parts. It's kept to a minimum. It definitely doesn't happen a lot, but there is some light and humorous parts in this movie. It's not all doom and gloom for these characters. Now, there is some things I didn't like about this movie, and let's get into that. There's this scene in the movie where Wolverine and Professor X are watching this video on the smartphone, and it's like a full out documentary. Like there's different scenes, like voices overlapping over video that don't belong. Like it was clearly edited, this video, and they're trying to pass it off in the movie as like something this lady shot on her phone. It's something small, but it just seemed kind of silly to me. It was like come on, like it looks like a documentary more than it doesn't really look like a video you shot on your phone. So I don't know. To me, though, it kind of bothered me a little bit. It didn't take me out the movie, but just something I didn't like. I thought it was stupid. I've seen it before in movies where they try to pass it off for like a realistic video, but it was kind of silly. But that's something I didn't like about it. Another minor issue that I had with this film was that the guys that are coming after this little girl, Laura, that Logan's protecting, the whole movie, they make it clear that they want this girl dead. They want to capture her to kill her. And there's a few parts in the film where they're close to capturing her, or they have her within reach, and they could have easily killed her or some of her friends, which they're also trying to get, and they didn't. They kind of like just round them up in a way instead of killing them. I don't know. I feel like it would have been better if the film would have showed them maybe kill one of these mutant kids, just so the audience can feel more of a sense of danger and urgency to it. It kind of felt lame at times when they could have killed some of these kids, but they didn't. They kind of just grabbed them and handcuffed them, kind of thing. I think if one of these kids were to die, it would have added an extra element of sadness and would have made the stakes a little higher, and would have added a sense of danger to the film that wasn't necessarily always there. But for the most part, this is kind of a nitpicking thing because this was a great movie and I don't have too many complaints about it. Now I want to get into the biggest issue I had with the film. The final action sequence of this movie, it's not bad. I liked it. It was good. But for a film that has advertised that this is Hugh Jackman's last go at Wolverine, I really wanted to see a little bit more. It had me at around a 7, and I wanted it to be like at a 10. I wanted balls to the wall. Like, this is the last time we're going to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I wanted to see a little bit more. It could have been better. It could have been a little bit more intense and satisfying. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, and I think it would have been better to finish the movie and send Hugh Jackman off with like an awesome action scene, like one of the best scenes he's ever been in as Wolverine, and this scene didn't really do it for me too much. With all that said, I had a great time with this movie, and it's hands down my favorite movie of 2017 so far. I know we're only 3 months in, but hands down the best movie I've seen this year, and that's why I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Don't forget to comment and like if you enjoyed this review. And I want to ask you guys, what is your favorite movie of 2017 so far? Leave that below. One last thing before I go, I want to give a shout out to my media studies professor, Alan O'Connor. Thank you so much, Alan, for letting me do such an awesome assignment. You're awesome. Thanks again, guys. Have a good day. Take care.
3, 2,